Hello, welcome to Easy English. So today, me and Easy are going to discuss the cultural differences between Britain and Germany.
Let's go.
So Easy, you've been spending some time in the UK, and over this time you've been collecting small points about cultural differences you found between Britain and Germany.
Yes, I did. Should we start?
Yeah, let's do it.
Number one. It's actually the first two ones are my favorites. So number one is the friendliness of the British people. I think everyone here is so friendly and so polite, and that doesn't mean, I want to say that Germans are not friendly, but I think it's just more firm in the mentality and the culture to be always very friendly and always very polite and always very welcoming. And I love this here in Britain. I think it's so great that you can go to a supermarket and everybody's like, hi, how are you? Did you have a good day? Or the weather is nice and so on. And you could think this is kind of superficial, a bit small talkish. Mm-hmm. And why would you do that? But isn't it in general just nicer to have a good feeling, go through your day? Everyone is, not everyone, by the way. Obviously, this doesn't speak for everyone, but the majority of people smile at you, say nice things to you, are accommodating and welcoming, and I just love this.
Point 2.
So point number 2 is, also one of my favorites. It's the friendliness, point 1, but then number 2 is the pub culture. And it doesn't mean that this is only about partying and drinking. The opposite a little bit, because in pubs here are there for the community. Yeah. And it's something like our local pub here. People of all ages meet. There are kids, there are grandparents, there are sport clubs meeting up, associations meeting up, doing their weekly or monthly meeting.
Yeah.
There are people playing board games. There are people, obviously it's a lot connected to alcohol, but it's also not. People also go for coffee to a pub. Mm-hmm. And this meeting point of the community, of your local neighbors, friends, residents, I love this. It's and obviously you have so many pubs. It's just a lot more than we have in Germany. And it's so nice that you can always, especially in winter, you can always go into a nice, cozy little pub where mostly friendly people, point number 1, sit. And everyone is just having a genuinely good time.
Yeah.
Being together, and it brings people together, and I love that.
Point number 3. Easy, what is it?
Point number 3 is, you're right.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you're right.
So it is that if you approach somebody, people often say, at least down here in the south, you're right. And which is coming from, are you all right? Mm. And first of all, as a German, I do think people ask me how I am. So what do I tell them now? Well, usually in a small talk, you just say like, yeah, I'm fine. How are you? Or do you want to tell your life story or what a bad week you had? But nobody wants to know that. And especially it's not even to ask how you are. It is hello, basically.
Yeah.
It is hi.
Yeah.
And you basically respond with the same.
Yeah, it's not a question.
Yeah,
you actually almost, when you write it, you probably wouldn't put a question mark at the end.
Exclamation mark.
Yeah.
You're right?
You're right?
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
That's how you return you're right with another you're right.
And do you remember how in the supermarket for the first time?
Yeah.
I was like, hi. No, the lady working there was like, hi, are you all right? And I was like, yeah. And she was already going on doing her thing.
Yeah, she turned her head instantly.
She turned her head and I was like, yes, how are you? And then she sometimes gave me a bit of a weird look and went away.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to get better at this because I thought it's about having a little small talk. So I really was like, okay, next time I go there, I will do it right. So I tried to be the first. I was like, hi, are you all right? And she was just like, all right. and went on.
Perfect.
But then I thought, like, weird, she doesn't want to tell me how she is.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to your first point that everyone is friendly or has the intention to be friendly, right?
Yeah.
So this is a way of greeting someone and making it seem like you're interested in how they are, but don't get confused and think that you actually have to give them your entire life story.
No, I don't.
And even if you're having the worst in your life, like, say, yeah, everything's gone completely wrong, you lost your job, unfortunately, you can't go into that. You have to say, "You're right," back. Or, "Yeah, you're right."
Yeah, at least not in a supermarket. But maybe it was a neighbor you could.
Maybe.
You could complain about life in the streets. People love that a bit as well.
Okay, easy. Point number 4.
Point number 4. A very short one and quite an obvious one because everybody knows British people love tea. I never completely understood this because I do drink tea. I did drink tea before, not that often, but that you can really enjoy tea so much because coffee is also nice. Why would you do a big thing about it? Well, I actually cannot explain it myself now what it is, but I love tea now. And I drink tea every day.
Yeah. What kind of tea?
Well, I do have my morning ginger lemon tea, but for me, this is not a new thing. The new thing is that I actually now like the 4 o'clock Yorkshire tea. It is enjoyable, and I don't know why that is. I haven't found out yet.
There's a big thing, a cultural thing with making, if you're working in an office or, have like colleagues, there's a big sort of social dynamic thing about doing a round of teas for everyone in the office. And this is like a good way to have chit chat, small talk, or just for people to know that you're like a considerate person. Because you're like, who wants a tea? And this is like quite a,
You make a tea for everyone?
Yeah. I mean, you purely hope that only like one person says yes. Because in theory, like 20 people could say yes, and you're there with like having to manage how much milk, no milk, what tea. But it's a
tea break.
It's a really big part of our culture having like a 15-minute tea break.
Yeah, well, we do have a coffee break then. That's more like having a coffee break.
But would you like take everyone's orders? Milk, no milk, sugars, no sugars?
Definitely not.
Everyone gets the same.
Get your coffee. No. No, we don't make coffee for others. In a company or so.
Yeah.
You would go to maybe if you have like a community team kitchen, you would go there together and then make your own coffee after each other.
I see.
Well, nice colleagues would obviously bring you a coffee, and I've also done that. But I wouldn't go to 20 people and say, do you all want a coffee?
It really happens in England.
No, sorry, I didn't have time for that.
Yeah. Honestly, it's really difficult. Like, you need a pen and paper because people are like, oh, just 1 sugar, 2 sugars, please, no milk. Yeah, and you have to remember everything, and sometimes you're doing like 10 teas in one go. Okay, halfway point. Number 5.
Number 5. I already mentioned it at the beginning. Germans are more direct than Brits.
Just saying that is very direct. We would go around it another way.
Yeah, like
I know. Point 6.
Point 6 is to apologize for something you haven't done. Which is a point that is quite nice, but don't really understand it. I think it's better how Germans do it.
I'm sorry.
Just apologize when you have to apologize. It's nice, like, because it is quite nice, but it has really no point. Like, if I run into someone, that person will be like, oh, I'm sorry. And then you forget yourself to apologize.
Yeah.
And then the other person should also say, like, but it's my fault. I want to apologize. I want to say, I'm really sorry. And that person already apologized.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, it's obviously also a point of being friendly always, but I want to apologize when I want to apologize.
Okay, point number 7.
Number 7, a very confusing one to me, is how people call other people, especially strangers. Like what names they give others.
Yeah.
Because I have been called by people that I don't know, darling, love, maybe honey,
sweetie, maybe
sweetie, sweetheart, and
lovely.
Lovely. Yeah. I find this very confusing, and it's it's very, very dependent on the situation, but it's just a big part of British culture, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And very, very normal. In Germany, you could not do that. Oh my God.
Yeah.
If somebody, especially, obviously it's especially thing, like if a guy would do that to me, if a guy would say something like that in German, I would be like, what the beep. I would probably respond in a very direct and not nice way to that.
Yeah.
Because it's just not normal. And in British culture it's very normal. It's I don't know how you would say it's a form of friendliness as well. It's a form of connecting to someone.
Yeah.
But it's also situation wise.
Yeah, context is really key with this one.
Yeah.
Because, those words are terms of endearment and kind of pet names. So it can
be quite patronizing.
Be a bit degrading.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it is kind of because, compared to Germany, we are really not a very formal nation anymore. We used to be, like sirs and madams and this kind of thing. But this is almost like a shortcut some people will take in a way to give you something or offer you something maybe. Everyone has to be very careful around this.
Yeah.
I would really try not to do it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Unless you really either know this person well or you're very comfortable with the person you're speaking to now. Yeah. Okay, coming to the end with point number 8.
So, a point that I like, and I'm not even that sure if that's so true, but my feeling is that in Britain, people, especially in the educational system, give a lot more value to arts and culture. And I love that because in Germany, it's very like the school education system is very, very good, I would say. And you learn a lot of history, languages, old languages like Latin, and it's a good school system. But I did miss, and in my own school upbringing, the value of arts, because here, if somebody here is good at guitar playing, at painting, or whatever, or all of those, you get pushed to be better.
2 of our most biggest bands ever are all art schools kids.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Beatles?
Yeah.
And Rolling Stones?
Yeah. All from art school. So maybe this is why. Maybe they saw that there's actually some value to letting your kids express themselves.
Yes.
Okay. Point number 9. Easy.
It's about forenames and surnames.
Okay.
Some of you might know, in German we have a formal form and an informal form. And it's like younger people you approach with du, which is like you. And older people, or like people that you don't know, or people at work, you approach with another form, which is the formal form. And you don't have this here, obviously. There's only you in English, which is anyway great, makes it so much easier. But what I found a bit confusing is that you never use, or not never, but rarely use the last name or the surname. Because even if you would talk to a neighbor that you haven't met in a big building, write an email around or so, you would use the first name. You just see the name. You have never met the person. I would always, like, even here, I would probably approach this person with Mrs.
Yeah.
But that's a bit weird, isn't it? You would say like, hi.
Michael.
Hi, Ruth.
It's very weird. I mean, I'm sure, many decades ago, everyone was Mr. and Mrs. blah, blah, blah. But, this formality, again, is dropping, probably for the sense of, feeling more welcoming and, casual. But bizarrely, there's still some weird leftovers, such as when you're at your primary school and secondary school, it's Mrs. Dean or Mrs. whatever. And then as soon as you go to college, the whole formality's dropped. And so you know your college teachers by their first names and your university teachers by their first names. Final point.
Number 10.
Number 10.
It's not a cultural one.
Okay.
It's partially cultural.
Okay.
But it's about living situations. So it's 2 points. First, something that really annoys me.
Yeah.
at a tap, cold and hot water are usually separated.
Yeah.
So you go there, brush your teeth,
Yeah.
I don't know, and you like open the tap.
Yeah.
And it's either super hot water because it goes super hot very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or it's super cold water.
Right.
And if you try like, I try to mix them. I try to find like, also for the future, the perfect little...
Yeah, this is a test.
Yeah. You can't really.
Mm.
It's always, one is always ruling. So yeah, you have to deal with it. It's hot or cold. And the second thing is carpets everywhere.
Carpets.
Everywhere carpets. And I'm not really used to that. I am used to that because we also do have it in Germany. But
Yeah.
I'm also used to like wooden floor or not non-wooden floor, but not carpet. Because it's just, I think it's a lot more, like you have to care for it a lot more for carpets.
Yeah, true. There's a hygiene level inside having a material floor as well. An even grosser thing, which combines your 2 points, is lots of people, including...
And even grosser. That was you. That wasn't me. I didn't say that.
Something that combines this is a lot of people, including my grandparents, have carpet in their bathroom area.
Ooh.
Around the toilet. Yeah. Thanks for watching this week's video.
And let us know in the comments below, have you been to the UK and maybe you agree on some points with me or have something to add? Let us know what are the cultural differences to your country.
Yeah, and we'll see you next week. Bye!
Curveball. Well, partially culturally, maybe cultural. Partially cultural.
Partially cultural. Yawn, done. Where eyes? Blink, blink, blink. Blink, blink, blink. Yawning completed.